Have you ever wondered how people who deal in straight darkness remain successful? Do you know a person who has no morals, no conscience, but they seem to be on top all the time? Do you ever wonder how the Most High seems to let evil run rampant? Or how doing dirt seems to be the only way to get ahead? I think at some point in our lives, we've all had these thoughts. Sometimes fleeting, sometimes deeply. I actually started to ponder these things. Not because I felt some type of way about people and success. Nah. This had to do with me constantly having to deal with people asking me these questions. People who didn't necessarily believe in a creator. And even people who consider themselves religious. A lot of people struggle with the idea that a God could let the things we see, child abuse, rape, pornography, illicit sexual conduct, murder, racism, war, and disease become a part of the fabric of our existence. They say, how? Why? Before I get into that, let me just say, how we view success says a lot about who we are. Personally, the things I view as successful cannot be purchased with money. Love, happiness, health, and a clean conscience. But for those who like the so-called finer things in life, the material mongers, don't assume everything is rosy and that their spirit is intact. You know who the God of this world is, and you know he rewards his people. Now, I'm going to attempt to break this down. This idea of evil. It doesn't matter if you take the Bible literal or metaphysically. The answer is still written in those pages when we open our eyes and truly try and comprehend. When we read Genesis 3 and 6, we see Adam and Eve disobeying God's commandment to not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Here we find a dilemma, a controversy, if you will. Why would an all-knowing, all-loving God allow Adam to break such a disastrous commandment? This one action allowed death to enter our reality. And once the spirit of death came in, all manner of evil snuck in. So why did God not stop Adam? Well, if we go back to Genesis 1 and 26, we get a clue. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image." Well, part of the image of God is the ability to express free will. Free will, though taken for granted, is a very unique and misunderstood gift. Nothing else in our existence, not the wind, the ocean, the creeping things, the beast of the field, not even the sun, for which man has called God, has free will. This is what gives you dominion. This is what separates you from the beast of the field, the animals. Never let science convince you that we're all animals. It's simply not true. Now, let's talk about the uniqueness of free will. Why in Genesis 3:11 did God question Adam about eating from the tree of knowledge? Didn't God know Adam would do this? The answer is the Most High gave Adam 100% free will. And since the Most High doesn't make mistakes, nor go back on his word, he had to allow the decision to be Adam's to make, or not. The decision was totally up to Adam. Not kinda, not sorta, but completely. Free will is the ability to make unimpeded decisions that directly cause many different outcomes. And the Most High knows every single one. The Most High may send you signals, but ultimately, the decisions you make are yours. You might as well own them. Perhaps if we look at it from a different angle, we can get a better understanding. In the courtroom of life, we judge people by their actions. Our character is formed by the decisions we make. We tend to ignore any external complications that can influence the decisions, like culture, social constructs, history, and many other determining circumstances. Even still, our response to these different issues emphatically belong to us. We try to place blame on the Most High, when in reality, every good and bad decision we've ever made came from the cozy constructs of our own minds. Period. Free will doesn't allow you to point fingers, yet we do. Think of the parent-child dynamic. Parents attempt to teach their child right from wrong and give them the necessary instructions to live a meaningful life. When a parent gives a child a curfew, they expect the child to honor it. Inevitably, the child breaks curfew and faces the consequences. But is it the parent's fault that the child broke the curfew, assuming there was no reasonable explanation? Of course not. On most jobs, you have a manner of course or operating instruction that's supposed to be understood before you take the job. When you break any of those instructions, you face a reprimand. That's understood. Why is it then that we blame the Most High for our bad decisions. We act like it's His fault when we break His rules. Remember, we have freedom to choose. Like Adam, we have 100% free will. Without it, we'd be robots. Robots can't be judged. Robots only do what they're programmed to do. We were given a spirit. That spirit gave us life. In that life, we received free will. With that free will, we identify who we are, what type of spirit we are, through our course of action in any situation. We ask the philosophical question, who created evil? The real question is, who's forcing you to partake? If you stab someone, we don't go around trying to figure out who created the knife. That doesn't matter. What matters is what you decided to do with the knife. We ask, how can a creator allow so much evil to exist? Again, we're looking for a scapegoat. We're basically asking the Most High to remove evil because apparently we have to indulge. Duh. No. You have free will. You don't have to indulge. Now, granted, there are situations that arise, circumstances dealt with, that are totally created to invite sin. Man-made laws, political agendas, greed, and just an overall spirit of lust, deception, envy, and power. In short, ego. But this is our task, to defeat ego, to humble ourselves and refine our gifts. This is your walk. How you walk it is completely up to you. Instead of placing blame, we should be thankful. Thankful that the Most High isn't like us with our biases and egotistical, slanted perceptions. We use drugs, then blame the Most High for creating them. Do you know there are people who decided to never use drugs? So how do you reconcile this with the fact that you chose to use drugs? Free will. The real deception is that your free will has been co-opted. Our free will has been stolen by sleight of hand and persuasion. We've allowed our free will to be poisoned by an illusion. Through education, politics, science, and entertainment, we've been fooled into believing our decisions come from us, when in reality, the majority of our decisions, our free will, is coerced through brainwashing. You don't even decide when you're going to wake up. You don't decide what type of car you're going to drive or house you're going to live in. Through advertisement, you decide these things. They're foisted on you unawares. Do you decide your political affiliation? Well, that depends. If I show you an apple and an orange and told you to choose, are you really in control of this decision? To an extent. As long as I keep you blind to the fact that there are at least 100 more types of fruit. You see, if I control your options, I control your choices. What I'm trying to get you to understand is the Most High didn't create evil. He gave you free will. He gave you the ability to create evil or not. Why don't we lock up parents when their adult child commits a crime? Because it would be unfair to blame the parent for the child's choices, obviously excluding extenuating factors. The Most High doesn't create evil. He gave you a gift to develop and use as you please. As for blaming Adam and Eve or claiming it's unfair to punish us for something they did so long ago, look at it like this. We're all Adam and Eve. What makes us believe we would have fared so much better in that garden? They only had one rule, and they broke that. Well, we only have 10. How's that working out?